Hello and welcome to the show. Today I'm joined by Selina of Soul-Voyance. Selina is a psychic medium, a tarot reader, a Reiki healer, and a qualified teacher who is able to access the Akashic records to make predictions on the future and world events. So, hello, Selina. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Paul. Thank you for having me on your show.
That's an absolute pleasure. So, how did you get started on this journey?
Well, I've always been psychic since I was probably 12, 13 years old. And, I'd go into school and I'd have a dream. And then I'd go into school and go, oh, there's going to be a fire exactly on Thursday and it's going to happen here in the school. And then it would happen. And then I'd do these random things and people thought I was a bit weird. I didn't really fit in with the children.
Right. How did people react to you when you started to experience those things and they came true?
They just sort of accepted it, but they don't. Well, they were young children, weren't they? Well, kids are teenagers, so.
But what about your parents and family? How did
It is in my family. My great grandmother was a psychic medium, very well renowned in Greece, because I'm half Greek. So it's kind of in my family, so that's fine. That wasn't an issue. And yeah, it's just I've never had a retaliation. Nobody's retaliated to me or mocked me for it. It's been successful for me. It's my career now. It's been my career since I was 24. I won't say how old I am. I pretend I'm still in my 20s, but
I thought you were. I honestly thought you were.
I'm over 40. I've not aged. Yeah, no, it's amazing. I've had no plastic surgery. Not that I'm beating myself. Really? Okay,
you're looking very good, Selina.
Thank you. I've done the psychic work for a very long time, and it's just been kind of how life's navigated.
So, are you a clairvoyant?
Clairvoyant, clairaudient. So for spirit, I tend to see them inside my head. I have seen them outside my head, but if I'm reading inside my head, for the Akashic record, I will see and I will hear it. It's like it's between inside and outside my head. So I will hear, and that's not a person or a spirit or anything. It's the Akashic record. So, for example, if I'm predicting, I remember I got something for an earthquake. I'll hear a word. So I'll hear seismic, or I'll hear the location. I can tune in more. I can ask, and I will hear more. It's always in this ear. And so, yeah, clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. Sometimes I taste and smell things that are coming in.
What was the first experience like of being contacted by a spirit?
Oh gosh, I think it all kind of kicked off when I was about 13. I used to see doppelgangers, and I used to see like spirits. Like I'd be walking down this train station, and I'd be like, when I'm coming from school, home from school, and I'd be like, oh, there'd be this like woman, like an old lady hovering, and then I'd look at, oh, it's gone. Oh, and then like it always happens at train stations. And then there was another instant where I was sitting on the train. I was about to get off the next stop, and this man got on. He sat in front of me, and then I was sort of passing one of the stations as he got on, and I could see him again waving at me over there. And then I was like, oh, and then I got off my stop, and then he was waving, and then I looked and he'd gone, and I was like, but he's still on the train. So that's called a doppelganger. So yeah, loads and loads of that kind of stuff, age 13. Yeah.
Is it always a nice experience to be contacted by a spirit? Have you ever had an experience where it's not been pleasant?
Yeah, I've had a demonic attack. I've had a very bad one when I was 26, 27, and it was to do with something in Camden Town. I'd gone on Halloween, and it was a weird energy there where I went to this club, and it was all very strange. And then I think a doorway opened or something. And I got rid of it. I had to do a special ritual kind of prayers. But yeah, I haven't had that a lot, but so that was one incident. I actually became extremely psychic after that. Like really like 3-dimensional psychic, like, yeah, really, really, I think I changed dimension actually when I was 27. And then I've had it where, for example, the flat I'm in now is completely clear. There's no entities here. When I moved here 15 years ago, there was, I think she was like an old woman here, and she was moving things. I had to get someone to remove it. So yeah, I've had a couple things, but when I do my readings, if it's negative, spirit, my guides will close me off. I'm very well protected. Also, I've got a lot of control over my third eye, and there's various ways to do that. One of the ways is to just make sure you don't have anyone negative around you. So it's a full control of your energy, even as alive people. Yeah. So generally with my readings are my business. So everything is business related, promotion, marketing. So because I treat it as a business, it's very well controlled in the third eye. So that's fine. Never have a problem with contacting spirits. If it is a very, if I do get a client, I very rarely get negative clients anyway, but if I do, spirit will close me off and I'll say, sorry, I can't contact that spirit, but I can still give you a psychic reading and use a different tool kind of thing.
Okay. You said something a few minutes ago that interested me very much. You said that you changed dimension.
Yeah, I've done it twice. Well, 3 times.
Can you elaborate on that?
Right, I think I accessed the 5th dimension after that attack. Yeah, it went on for about 9 months. I don't really talk about it. I mean, it was really horrific. It was probably 7 entities around me, and other people who aren't psychics saw them.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Next to me. Yeah, it was really, really. I think something's there. It was in Camden. I won't say where it was, but I think there was a portal, and it was on Halloween. I went out, and I think so. Because I'm a bit psychic, something. Actually, yeah. I was gone now. It went. I closed it. I did a ritual. Yeah.
How common do you think demonic possession is?
Very common. Yeah. Oh, I wasn't possessed. It was just kind of.
Yeah,
I could see things coming through walls and.
Yeah.
I think it's very common. I've spoken to. I'm not really religious, but I believe in the creation energy and that electromagnetic energy that can really cleanse, and that's how kind of you can purify yourself and everything, and stone circles and the vortex point inside this. Yeah, I'm very esoteric, but I've spoken to a few priests, and they've actually said to me that it's actually very common. Do you know a lot of people have entities and they don't even know? It might not be to the level like an attack, but you know, they might have things with them. You know, there's certain people in higher power that have things around them as well.
Absolutely. I do think it's definitely underplayed.
It's there.
Yeah. The first time I heard about this ascension, if you like, to the 5th dimension, I think it was through Dolores Cannon, who was talking about it, and she's somebody that I hold in a very high regard. But having said that, I kind of struggle to understand the concept.
Yeah.
You hear lots of different things about it. So
5th, yeah.
Yeah, is this because many people have said over the last 2 or 3 years that we are currently ascending to the 5th dimension?
No, going down.
Oh, really?
It's actually it's a divide. So you're going. I don't like these numbers. I think they say the 7 is always the highest. So that probably what that came from. But I'm not sure about the numbers. But I've heard about 5th is when you can access like certain ascended masters, or you'll see visions or whatever. No, I'd say we're actually dividing at the moment, where you've got the sheeple, you know, the people that are like sheep. They're very much mind controlled. They can't think. So you've got the people that think for themselves, self-sufficiency, and the people that can't think for themselves. And I think during the COVID thing, that kind of started to separate. So you've got 2 worlds in one world, basically. So you've got, yes, some will go much higher and start to awaken and awaken their spiritual gifts, their certain activation in their DNA. to a certain extent, I've gone through this, especially with the illness I had. So I'm still going through like an activation. And then you've got the other people, the other group of people that will actually go downhill.
Okay. It's interesting that you mentioned sheep, right? Because there's this new term called NPCs. Have you heard of it at all? These people are described as NPCs, or non-playing characters. And basically, there's this theory or idea that NPCs don't have a soul, which I think is a bit horrible, because I think they're just, as you mentioned yourself, these people are just under hypnosis. They're mind controlled.
Then I was thinking about this today. Isn't it interesting how we've linked in? I was out today shopping and coffee shops, what have you. And I was looking around. You must do this when you're around. You're looking at people.
All the time.
Yeah. You're looking around thinking, God, they're new souls. They're almost like they've not had any incarnations. They're just... Yes. And you're thinking, okay, occasionally you get one that's had one life, and then you get some like us that are quite old souls. But you think, God, the majority... And you can actually see it around their auric field.
Really?
Like it's almost like nothing's there. They just follow. It's not everybody, but it's like I think they have a soul, but it's a new soul. And it's almost like a lot of people, like the way I describe them is they're made into minions. Because it's all kind of, there's two timelines. There's a positive one and a negative one. And I think it's all mapped, and it's all kind of, it's already happened, actually, depending where you are in the universe, time distortion. But it's almost like the two timelines are overlapped, and it's like a lot of people are not the best version of themselves on the earth plane. To be the best version of yourself, you have to somehow get off that timeline and onto another one. That comes with... you can call it quests. So that's your stone circles, your meditation, your hypnosis, your therapy, your awakening, whatever it is. So there will be turning points on your map, and not everybody will. A lot of people miss the turning. Right. They just carry, is what you're saying. They just carry on.
Can I just say the idea you've just come out with? It's I think it's something that I've been going through over the last maybe 2 or 3 years, where I, for want of a better expression, I woke up about 20 years ago, just after 9/11. And for a long period of time, I was caught up in all the world events and all the conspiracies and a lot of kind of negative stuff. And it's like been the last sort of 2 or 3 years that I've kind of discovered, if you like, that the best way to approach life is not to completely ignore all of that stuff, but to very much kind of focus on the positive aspects of your life and being creative.
And making the right choices.
Yes, exactly that. So does that kind of fit in with what you were saying? Is that the same thing?
Yes, yeah, I think so. But it's it's quite a labyrinth, life. I think there are choices. Yeah. There are choices. Yeah, you definitely don't want to focus on the negative, because in a way, a lot of that media stuff is created to lower your vibration. And the actual word media comes from the word medium, because in the olden days, you'd have the soothsayer, or someone like me, what I do on TikTok, modern day version. They tell you the news before it's happened. So the soothsayer, like in Julius Caesar, the Ides, beware the Ides of March. So the word media comes from the word medium. So it's like it's telling you, well, I think a lot of the media is distorted and controlled. So it does it there's a reason why they publish certain stories, is to get the mood very low. And I think over the last 2 years, in fact, since COVID, I don't think I've ever seen so many depressing news. It's like, it's so depressing now.
Yeah.
Nothing happy.
Yeah, I've not had a TV for 15 years now.
Oh, that's good.
One of the best things I ever did was sell my TV.
Wow.
Just where that painting was, I had a big TV on the wall, and it dominates the room. And not that I watched it very much, but which is one of the reasons at the time why I got rid of it, because I wasn't really using it. But
sure.
Yeah, it's the
To
media
do other
is.
things. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Now I've got 2 allotments. I'm growing my own food. I run a
Wow.
business. I've got my YouTube channels, obviously, so I'm very busy, and I love being creative. So just the very idea of going back to that life of, you know, working 9 to 5 and then sitting in front of the telly for the next 5-6 hours is just. I'm not judging anyone that does. I know
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
people
Yeah.
who've got stressful lives
It's
and they do
very. Don't you
stuff.
think that? No, I don't do that. I obviously am similar to you. I'm a singer, so I'm creative, but I have done art as well. It's
You're a
interesting.
singer as well. I didn't.
Yeah, yeah. I sing in musical theatre, but I'm just getting back into. I did a bit last year, and then I did quite a lot in my 20s. But it's interesting. And I used to be a professional ballroom and Latin dancer, but I haven't danced for a while since the illness. It's interesting. Spiritual people are always creative, aren't they?
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, it's good to do other stuff. And that I was going to say about the 9 to 5. I think it's funny you mentioning everything I've been thinking about this week. You know how the world is, where everything is like, so you go to school, you leave school, you then get a job, and the hours are all kind of controlled. A lot of people have no say in their structure of hours, or they just get a job. And I'm thinking that's mind control, because my life isn't like that.
Yeah, there's no spontaneity in that world, is there? You know.
No, but it's even the hours, the way everything's done from school right up, and you're thinking that's odd. When I did teaching, I used to do supply, and I taught in did a bit of cover work in a private school, and it's very different. It's an international private school. They don't have subjects, they have projects. And within the projects, they incorporate all aspects of history, geography, science, ICT, everything. There's no grade system. It's pass or fail, and they make you pass. And it's a smaller class, and they're very well behaved, and they all do very, very well. And I was talking about this with a parent. Now, that's a private school. That's very, very different to how the mainstream is, isn't it? Because if you look about it, it's all about grading. Let's compete against each other. And then you go into the world of work. Oh, I've got to compete to get a higher job to make more money. I've got to keep competing, going higher and higher. And no wonder there's so much war and everything, because it's all about greed and competition.
Yeah.
You're taught from a small age.
Yeah. So you mentioned projects.
Yes, it was very different. Yeah.
That reminded me of homeschooling, because a lot of homeschool people do projects, and they have spontaneity. They can make it up on the spot occasionally and do things like that. It's not all timetabled, and I think kids
completely different
relate to that a lot more than they do.
Interesting. As a teacher, I've seen a lot.
I bet you have. And you were a supply teacher as well, so you must
have taught full-time, trained in secondary and primary. I can teach adults as well, but I've actually worked as a full-time in primary and secondary. ICT was my subject, but I've done primary and I've done supply, and I've taught in loads of schools in London. I used to travel all around London, and I've seen a lot.
In my experience of being at school, I think supply teachers were probably some of the bravest people in the world.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't do supply in secondary. I did it in primary. I'm not mad.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, let's get back. I wasn't planning on talking about education, but you've had a very interesting life, it would seem, and a singer and a dancer as well. So yeah. So just getting back to your psychic abilities. Sure. You mentioned that you have had the experience of a transfiguration.
Yeah, I've had that quite a few times.
Really?
No, I don't do it anymore. One was in a psychic fair when my face changed. Like everyone could see it, and it was a man. And my goodness, I felt like I was drunk afterwards. Like I was at the bus stop after, and it was midnight, and I felt absolutely faint, like knocked out, and you could feel it. And she goes, "Oh, I could see my dad," and then he went. Then I had another one where a man came out of my back. It was a granddad. It was again at a psychic fair. It was on the summer solstice. I remember just like, and I was like that, and I was like, "What's that?" And then this medium came, I go, where did you come from? She goes, oh, I didn't know why I was here, but something said, oh, just come along to help someone. I said, what's going on? Can you get rid of him? She goes, oh, someone's granddad's there. And she goes, look, you can hear him walking around. And she goes, feel it. And you could feel like a vortex of ice. And she called the energy and he went back. So that's called a physical materialization with ectoplasm. So I'm now more of a psychic than a medium. I don't really do a lot of mediumship. I actually find mediumship it can be a bit draining. It can be, because spirit, I mean, they'll give you their cause of death, whatever, but they can't see the future. The future is the Akashic records, and I go directly into it. And so I'm actually more of a psychic. If you see the type of readings I do, the stuff on TikTok, YouTube, I'm more of a psychic. But back then in my 20s, I used to be more of a medium.
Right.
So I've actually changed course quite a lot. So yeah, I've had some very interesting experience with materialization. I do not recommend anyone do it ever, because it is extremely physically draining. Mediumship is fine, but the physical stuff. And I think I probably wasn't as in control of my third eye back then, to tell you the truth.
Right. Okay.
I wasn't as evolved or developed. I was very young. I was in my 20s.
Okay.
So
how does one go about accessing the Akashic records?
Sure. I think it's to do, I had this on my phone actually, I read it earlier. Okay, I think it's to do, okay, I'll explain. It's to do with wormholes. You know what wormholes are?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think everyone can do this, but there, depends on, again, the level of control, because that is the left side of the brain is very structured. If it's too structured, we can't access. And you can use the Akashic records for your own pathway. And if everyone did, the world would be a better place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like being your own guide, seeing the obstacles in your life, making decisions. And all the Akashic records is basically like a universal 3D encyclopedia of everything that has happened and that will happen.
Right.
And it's 3-dimensional. You can hear it, you can taste it, you can see it. Sometimes I physically feel like I'm there. Like if something's happening or happened, it'll feel like it's happening to me. So this is an amazing thing. Everyone can access it, and you access it. It's all about meditation. So meditation is very good, light meditation, nothing too weird or transcendental or entities coming in and all that. So good light meditation. Hypnosis can help as well. I think some people are naturally more psychic than others. Again, new souls wouldn't be, but older souls would be. And it's wormholes. It's little wormholes in the brain. I think it's a different part of the brain than the mediumship. It feels very different when I get the information, and it's accessing this universal record encyclopedia, and it's to do with the theory of relativity. So you know how Happy New Year's happened for people in Australia, say before it
mm-hmm.
or after we've had it.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're standing, some stars are a million light years away. If we're there on that star, because it's a million light years away, this has already happened for there.
Right, yeah, I'm with you.
It hasn't. It's relativity. So, and also I don't know what your take on this is, but this is what I've been shown psychically. I think the thought is there, and then there's like a creation. So it's the thought, then the creation. And the creation is like, it's mathematical.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how a baby gestation, 9 months, doctors predict, at 3 months this will happen, at this 6 months this will happen. It's the same thing. In 100 years this will happen, but it's in more complex mathematics.
Right.
So it kind of it's like a holographic projection we're living in. and it's like the information is already there. We can read it in the Akashic record, but we're kind of traveling. The time is the projection. Is this how you see this as well?
I can completely understand your explanation for it. That makes a lot of sense to me, definitely. My own psychic experiences have been very rare. I used to have experiences of speaking to little people when I was very young, in my bedroom and in the upstairs of the house, which wasn't always nice. It was a bit unearing. And I've had one or two experiences in stone circles, which is
what did you have there?
very interesting. Well, I've been to only ever at Avebury. I've been to various stone circles, but only ever at Avebury have I experienced strange things. I've seen very large orbs circling Silbury Hill, and I've seen a very little man who I believe is a what they call a Bogart, which is a tiny kind of fairy spirit, and they appear to be travelling in a little vehicle. And I was sitting in my car one day at Avebury in the evening. It was dark on solstice, and this little guy just turned up next to my car, and oh my god, it was literally that big, very small.
In a car?
It to me, it was a vehicle. It looked. I wouldn't say a car, but it was kind of like it was.
I've just seen it.
It was a teapot kind of shape.
Okay, yeah, I've just had a vision of what you're seeing. Yeah, it's definitely another dimension. Yeah.
The interesting thing is that we kind of communicated, because as he went past, he looked very happy and jolly moving along. And of course, on summer solstices, when fairies move from fort to fort, so I presumed that's what he was doing. But I saw him, and oh my god, I've got to say hello. I've got to try and communicate with this little fella. So I tapped my finger on the window of my car, and he heard it, because he looked at me. He was a bit stunned, and he looked as if like he was saying, "Oh my god, he can see me." He was quite.
There was a cross dimension.
Yeah. So anyway, so it ended with me putting my finger on my window of the car, and he did exactly the same thing, and we kind of touched fingers through the glass, and then he went away. And so that was one thing. And I've seen other things as well at Avebury, which I've probably talked about before in previous videos, and my listeners might be a little bit fed up with hearing about it, to be honest. But yeah, as a young child, I used to speak to a lady at the bottom of my bed. I used to tell my mum about it. I've got no memory of that now, but she tells me that's what went on. So I think I lived in a very old house, and this house, I think, was probably had some sort of energy or history or whatever. So, but not so much in my adult life, unfortunately. So I've always been open to the idea of trying to, I don't know, regain some of that psychic power that I apparently had when I was a kid.
Yeah. Do you do meditations?
I've been asked this question so many times, and the answer is no, because I'm a guitarist.
I always meet them everywhere I go. Every single person, even like people I've gone for hypnotherapy, every single person is a guitarist.
Spooky.
Singer, that's why.
I don't sing, unfortunately.
No, I'm saying I'm a singer, so obviously I attract the guitarist.
Yeah, we'll have to go busking at some point.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when I'm playing the guitar, usually late in the evening, when everything is done, the day is done, etc., I kind of see that as my meditation, because I go into my own world. I used to be a classical guitarist, so I used to read notes and play them, but these days I'm more kind of doing my own thing on an acoustic guitar, and it's a lovely way of kind of being creative and relaxing at the same time. And I've always considered it to be a form of meditation.
Okay.
So because of that, I've never felt the need to meditate.
Okay.
But if I can access the Akashic records, I'm definitely
up. It's not. Yeah, sure. I'm actually going to be doing some psychic empowerment workshops later this year, and Tree of Life Kabbalah workshops. They're two different things, but the psychic empowerment ones, it's more about it's not just meditation, it's how to activate your third eye. And I used to teach workshops, actually, in-person workshops. These empowerment workshops will be online because I have like worldwide clients now. Like some of them are in Fiji and like Indonesia. Wow. So yeah. So this online thing is perfect. And so the activation is like just doing various exercises like remote viewing. It could be tuning into one person. It could be tuning into a photograph. It could be a specific type of meditation. There's so many different exercises you could do. And what that does is it activates the third eye in the brain so that you can actually start tuning in. So it's a very specific, it's not like a meditation as in a relaxation one. It's a very specific exercise that I give them. So that's how that actually will develop. You'll develop through that.
Okay, what is the difference? I've never really understood this. What's the difference between visualization and remote viewing? Are they the same thing?
Yeah, no, they're different. So visualization is just if you just visualize something. If I say close your eyes, think of a waterfall, that's visualization. Right, okay. So remote viewing is, and I personally use my spirit guides. I know who my spirit guide is. I've seen him. I've got more than one. But I would use a spirit guide, and I know when they're working with me. Right. For example, so I have a client. So a client wants a reading, and they'll ask me the usual question: can you tune into my ex? Can you tune into my love life, whatever, or career? Can you tune into the work situation? So spirit will actually show me how the person looks, the face. So that's clairvoyance, and that's remote viewing. Or they'll show me inside a house, or they'll show me could be inside the workplace, various things. Now that's not future though. To do the future viewing, and this is where you wonder how I haven't ended up in a straitjacket. No, the future, because there's a lot going on at the same time. So the future stuff is Akashic records. So if they ask me about my future job or a future man or future relationship, future home move, and that's always on that side. It's Akashic record. So you'll be remote, so you can actually remote view with both. But if you're remote viewing the present or the past, it's spirit.
Right. Okay. So with the Akashic records, you know, there's this famous saying that history is written by the winners of war. You know, so there's this very strong train of thought at the moment that a lot of our history is actually really propaganda written by the winners of wars. So with the Akashic records, could you go back into history and discover things that have been lied about or have been kind of...
you can go back or forward. My particular thing is forward, because obviously that's my brand, predictions. But yes, you can go back. I've done it a few times with various facts, like especially with New Age, like chakra systems. And I've got information that, you know how there's colors in the chakras, that it was talking about, it isn't colors, it's like all the colors go through it. That was just a small example, but it would be like something in history that's happened, and they'll go, oh, and it's not a person, it's like, I'll know, and that I'll know that didn't happen, actually something else happened. Right. But I don't get that a lot because it's not really my brand going back.
Yeah,
more future.
It's funny because I think if I could do what you can do, I think I'd be very tempted to go back into the past and find out all sorts of things that
be a detective.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah. So with remote viewing, for example, there are people supposedly high up in the
Can I just get my jacket? I'm so sorry.
Of course. No worries.
It out. I had the heating on. It's a bit the practicalities of online podcasts. Yeah. We do live in the UK, and it is chilly, right?
Yeah.
I'll let you carry on.
Yes, remote viewing. So I was saying that there are people supposedly very high up in the American government or working for the government, the military, etc., that can remote view, for example, places like the dark side of the moon or the other side of the moon, or other planets and things like that, or Antarctica, where there's supposed to be all sorts of things going on that I'm very interested in. So have you ever tried anything like that at all?
Yeah, I do it all the time. So yeah, that's how I do my predictions. So
Oh,
yeah,
so
I'll
you've
get,
tried of the moon.
yeah, the moon is one of them. I do it on Mars. So one of my predictions for this year will be there'll be a volcanic eruption on Mars. The moon, I think, is natural, but I think there are unnatural things that are placed there. It's like a satellite, but it's like maybe equipment, certain things are there. Yeah, definitely some interesting things.
As I understand it, the moon is, or our moon, the Earth's moon, is far too big compared to other planets' moons. It's
I've heard of that.
Yeah, so who knows?
I'm not sure. I think the actual moon itself is real, but I think there are certain things on it
Structures
that were put to I think it's frequencies. They're reading frequencies.
Right. Okay. Was there life
projecting a frequency? I think there's things we're not told about. I'm not really an expert with the moon, but that's right. My name means the moon, Selina.
Of course, yeah,
that's my real name.
Yeah. Cool, excellent. Yeah, so I was going to ask you something then. What was it?
Remote viewing Antarctica. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was something else. Oh yeah, that was it. I'll cut that waffle out. So have you remote viewed Mars? Because there's a lot of conjecture that Mars was once an inhabited planet.
Yeah, I think there's been things there. There's various structures there. I think there's other planets in the universe that are inhabited. There's other worlds that are much, much higher vibration than Earth. And I think Earth is the first one we come to if we're a new soul or a certain type of soul. And we come here, and then when we can get out of here, break free, we need to come here again. We then go to other worlds. So there's definitely life on other. I mean, I've seen the UFO.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Yeah.
So I've seen a couple. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely other.
Right. Is it time to make some predictions then, Selina?
Oh, what ones do you want to know about? There's a whole list.
Oh my God, there's so many. So, well, for start, there's probably going to be two big elections this year, one in America and one in this country.
Definitely.
I'd like to ask you about artificial intelligence as well.
Yeah.
The future of that holds. So
yeah,
take it away. Where would you like to start?
Sure. UK politics. Okay. Rishi Sunak, I think I've already predicted there would be, he's in the news a lot, isn't he? He says the wrong thing or whatever he's saying. He's quite controversial at the moment. I got the end of December, something would come up. And then again, mid-February when the snow comes, and it's all kind of happening, and then there's this Rwanda thing because there were some asylum seekers that came from Rwanda to the UK. So it's interesting that he wants to send asylum seekers there or refugees, something not. Yeah, so I'm not sure if that goes ahead, the Rwandan thing. I think there's another scandal that will come up about him towards right the end of this month, to the beginning of March. And then I do see a resignation, probably March going into April. I think April will be a time when there probably isn't a government, April, May. And then I think there's a general election. I think Labour will win. And the next Prime Minister of the UK could be Keir Starmer or someone like him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what about in America? Who's going to win the election right there?
Right.
Surely not Sleepy Joe.
G.I. Joe. I did an interesting prediction on him. No, what I think's going on there is I think there's going to be two presidents this year. I think that he may have an accident or a problem. I had a vision of him in a wheelchair, so that could be symbolic that he's not necessarily needing a wheelchair, but he could be going to a hospital or he could be having some time out. I do see a bit of a recovery. I think this is kind of happening over could be this year, within sort of the next 6 months or so. I actually see something happening this month with that.
Really?
And then I think Kamala kind of steps in, but she's not proper president, but she's kind of oversee, like a substitution temporarily.
Right. Okay.
Then I do think the elections happen.
Yeah.
Yes. Someone said to me they didn't think the elections would happen because a war would break out, or there'd be escalation with war. I do still think there will be some sort of election. I think Trump will pull out last minute. There'll be another scandal or legal thing. Yeah, he will pull out.
Right.
I think the next president is a man. Whoever it is, they will serve a total of 2 terms. Now, it could be Biden, or it's someone in his party.
Yeah, I was going to say I can't see Joe Biden doing another term. I just don't.
No, I think he's kind of has a problem or something. But I think it's someone in his party, and I think it's
not Kennedy.
No, he's a challenger, isn't he? He won't be easy to control. He speaks his mind too much.
You don't see Kennedy as becoming the next president?
He's a good candidate, but he's anti-vaccine, isn't he? So he's not going to be the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
It will be someone that's fairly neutral, that does what they're told. That it will be what's his name? I can't remember his name. I think I know who it is. It's the other man that's in Biden's group, not the woman. What's the man called? Is it Paul? I can't remember his name.
Sorry, I'm not very
It's on my podcast.
Right, okay.
My YouTube podcast on the elections. It could be him because he's like a substitution. He's like the follow-on of Biden.
Right.
And I think whoever it is serves 2 terms. So it'll be a very interesting year. And the elections are in November.
Yeah. I'm not a big believer in politics myself. I'm a political atheist, really. But I would like to see an outsider becoming elected, like a Kennedy or even a Trump, just because they'll, kind of rock the boat and,
Yeah, I think Kennedy would be good. But he's anti-vaccination, and I'm not sure if
he's pro-climate change. He's pro-climate change, and so
climate change is real, but it's because of weather patterns in the to do with the sun and earth.
Right. Okay. Sun
cycles. The radiation. Yeah.
Because the sun. I hope I'm getting this right, but the sun, I believe, peaked temperature-wise in around 1998, which was around the same time that they started saying climate change rather than global warming.
Oh, really? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that. That's interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah.
With what you're saying.
Well, the Earth's getting hotter because I think it's every 17,000 years it changes. So you had Ice Age, and because the Earth used to be like one big continent called Pangaea, and it used to be, this is before dinosaurs, and it used to be very hot, tropical. And you had Ice Age. It changes. It's never going to be the same, the weather pattern. So that's what global warming is.
Okay, which leads me on
to not global warming. Sorry, climate change.
Climate change, yeah. Which leads me on to another question you just mentioned there, the Akashic records. Have you ever kind of tried to investigate Atlantis through the Akashic?
Yeah, I'm not sure that. I don't know if it existed, but I think there was something in the. Yes, I have tuned into that. It's in that Azores.
Okay.
Yeah, there's remnants. I think there was people there, which is kind of like Atlantis. It's sort of that, but I'm not sure the full thing happened in reality. It might just be like a story or metaphor. But yeah, the Bermuda Triangle there's a vortex there.
That's right.
There's a cross, ley line crosses, lots of them.
Yeah. I've always been a fan of the idea that it was in the Atlantic Ocean, hence the name Atlantis. It kind of just makes sense to me. Possibly on the towards the America, like the Bahamas and the Caribbean, around that sort of area, I think is probably. Funnily enough, Ghislaine Maxwell, She was in a submarine just prior to being arrested. She was going around in a submarine in that area trying to locate Atlantis.
Oh, I didn't know that. Is that
Yeah,
really? Was she?
and
What
that's
was she doing there? She didn't find it though, did she? Right.
well, who knows? Because just shortly after that, she was arrested with these, the charges. So there might be a link. Who knows? Selina, we'll end there. Where can people contact you and find out more about you?
Oh, I have a YouTube channel and TikTok channel, Instagram, Facebook. So the social media name is Soul-Voyance, and I'm Psychic Selina. I also have a website where you can book readings directly. I do all sorts of pre-recorded and live readings, psychic readings, and psychic workshops, and that is www.soulvoyance.co.uk.
Lovely, and it's a really nice website as well.
Thank you.
That's all right.
I made it myself.
Did you really?
Yeah. I got a degree in before I became a teacher. I got a degree in beauty animation.
Wow, you're far cleverer than I am. Okay.
Oh, thank you. I can't play the guitar.
Or maybe I'll teach you sometime.
Oh no, I'm useless.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, everyone. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back very soon with another video. Thank you, Selina.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye for now.